everyone. How's the sound? I hope it's fine. So yes, I'm going to talk about LucidWeb. We're a company focused on the distribution of VR and AR content via the browser. So first a little bit about me. So basically I started my career with Accenture in Brussels. Then I worked for a startup that was backed by Atomico and Index Ventures. I've learned a lot with that startup, moved to London, focused on online video distribution for 4 years, white-labeled 2D video distribution. And then I came back to Europe to become COO of Tech.eu, an online publication focused on European tech news. And then actually I had my first virtual reality experience, fell in love with the medium and decided that that would be my focus area for the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm very happy with the decision I made. The company was officially created in 2017 and last year the first investors stepped in. So I'm actually a technology person, but since VR and AR is so directly intertwined with content and storytelling, I've been increasingly also been asked to be part of the jury or awards related to really storytelling. So one of the best experiences for me personally, and learned as much as I could on the level of storytelling, was being part of the Biennale College VR Cinema, where basically in January all mentors are invited to an island called San Servolo, where you meet 10 teams that are basically pitching their story, and you have to help them in creating or leveraging the technology for that story. And then also I'm an expert interactive technologies by the European Commission, which means that I'm invited regularly to sit with them, lots of academics, lots of startup entrepreneurs, but also corporations focused on VR and AR, where they do sessions on topics like ethics. So the last session was in March in Brussels. And every time they do a session like that for 2 days, there's also the opportunity to find the resources online. So I would definitely recommend that. And then also in a couple of weeks, I will be part of the Geneva International Film Festival, where I will be president of the immersive jury. I'm wearing a lot of hats. Today, actually, we are with 5 other women. We're on the main stage at 1, where we're going to have a interesting panel on the different pioneering works that the women in Europe are doing. So we're all under one umbrella called Women in Immersive Tech. It's a non-profit that we recently created. It's a very active Facebook page, so for all the women and the men in the room, please feel free to join. You will see the activity and the profiles of the members, and it's really an interesting crowd, going from content creators, producers, academics, and then technology experts like me. Another hat I'm wearing is XR for All. It's an initiative by the European Commission, where basically they realize that on the level of hardware, Europe is really leaping behind. So this is the first initiative from them to better understand what is happening in Europe in terms of technology, specifically. So it's what they call a community effort, where they also link it to an open call. So the community effort is basically trying to give more visibility to startup entrepreneurs and experts like you, making sure that your news gets surfaced on an international level, so you have more visibility towards investors, for example. There's an open call, which means 1.5 million is distributed for European VR and AR technologies. Their first deadline is the end of October, where basically by pitching your idea, maybe it's a simple an SDK or an MVP of not your main product, but an ingredient that you're thinking about that also could have a potential business model. You can pitch it, and then when you are selected, you receive 10,000 euros, and then after another review, you get then 40,000 euros to actually develop it. So about LucidWeb, my company. So today we are with 6 full-time employees, but we do have a lot of freelancers in the office and also a lot of interns. Eliana on the left, she's actually our UX UI lead, which is quite crucial for whatever we develop, and you will also see it in the video of our platform. We put a lot of emphasis from day one on a very slick design. And then Maxence is the technology leader of LucidWeb, so a lot of credits to him. He's really JavaScript wizard or cowboy, and is really driving the company forward. So these are always a bit my introduction slides about trying to understand, giving more context. What I truly believe is that we're going from a hype from 2016 to a reality. This is a slide that a lot of people don't like me to use, but it was a reality at some point when you used the Google platform. After the winter, 2017, 2018, overall investments went down, even in enterprise. There was actually a disillusionment about the promised return on investment. But on the other hand, I also feel like it's important to note that the XR summer is coming. I think there's a lot of positive news coming from the industry, both from VR and AR. And I think the best validation of that trend is that in many different verticals, big name companies are acquiring, for the last couple of months, VR and AR startups to accelerate their time to market. So it's really the best time to invest in VR and AR. With our company, we focus on democratization of VR and AR. We feel that everyone should have the right to access a high-quality VR AR experience. And we see there's a lot of issues and friction in distribution. So when you are a content creator or a publisher, today one of the options to get your content out there is building apps, several apps, which means a lot of time and investment in building those apps. Then again, we all know that the number of people who are actually downloading an app is really going down. Apart from the low return on investment for a publisher, also the user journey is very, very long, and a lot of people just drop off. This is one of the key areas that we focus on as a company, and not only on the mobile journey that you see there, but as well on desktop, and actually mostly as well in the headset. So the solution, it's actually not ours, it's already there, the browser. Everyone has a browser on each device, is mostly equipped with a powerful browser. So Chrome, Samsung Internet, Firefox, they all are working with an open standard and definitely are complying to WebVR. Some of them are looking into WebAR, but it's not available yet, but that is definitely part of the future. So basically what it means, one click and you have access to content. So you create a direct client from the consumer, from the content to the consumer. You create an instant wow effect, and again, you can promise a higher return on investment just by using the tools people already have. So the technology that I will continuously refer to is called WebVR, and now actually has been rebranded to WebXR. Just a little bit of history. So the first time a 3D model was rendered in a browser was in 1994 by Tony Parisi and Mark Pesce. It's called the Cyber Banana, which is a huge milestone. Two of them are still in industry, and I think a lot of you know them as well. So since then, this open standard has evolved until the moment that in 2011, the first 3D render was possible on a mobile by the Kronos Group. And then the first time 3D rendering was possible in a headset browser was in 2014, which of course gives a completely new level to WebVR. A lot of people think WebVR is really bringing virtual reality to your desktop or your mobile, but for us it's really 3 devices at the same time and potentially even more in the future. It's just a standardized format, so whatever type of device you have at hand, you can stream the content. So this standard, this open standard has evolved, and in 2018, At the end of 2017, there was a meetup in Brussels organized by LucidWeb, where the immersive working group was coming together to discuss WebVR 2.0, and there actually they announced that it would go from WebVR 1.0 to WebXR. So basically before deploying another version of WebVR, they decided it would make more sense to immediately add AR capabilities to the browser standard. Of course, a lot of things happened since then, and I will show it in the next slide, but I think it's really a key period for the standard. Safari has adopted with, for example, Quick Look. Google also has their own browser solutions in the meantime for AR, but this was the most important period. So, of course, we're not the only company looking at what can the browser do. So mostly Google and Mozilla have been investing in looking for products and, of course, looking for the right product market fit. So all the products that you see are basically focused on browser-based access only. I think a very interesting one, like I just mentioned, is AR Quick Look. And Magic Leap as well, for the ones who have such a device already. They have a powerful browser called Helio, which enables you to have an AR experience and also put objects into the room around you, and I will show that later as well. But definitely Mozilla, I guess, is the biggest influencer and driver of this standard. So I think that is also quite important for where the standard is today. The immersive working group is organized by the W3C, who decides about browser standards in general. They come together. There's this high-level group, but there's also a community group. So if you're interested, please join the community working group. We're not the only ones who are quite optimistic about this standard. I think Charlie Fink, Forbes contributor, is one of the biggest fans. In many articles, he will reference the standard. But of course, it's all about what it brings back to the publishers. So, for example, on the level of retail, many studies have confirmed that the conversion rate is a lot higher if you, of course, don't expect people to download an app. So we as a company, we're focused mostly on how to make storytelling more accessible. Since 2016, I've been going to a lot of conferences in Europe and internationally, have been exposed to the most beautiful stories, some happy, some sad, and it was always frustrating for me to come back to the office or even share those experiences with my friends and family. So I think for me, that really feels like a big frustration, and that was also one of the main pains I wanted to see resolved by the WebXR standard. So we have been focused on this using 360 video, interactive and non-interactive. And the first experience that we kicked 2019 off with is an immersive journalism piece. So the Belgian broadcaster was actually evaluating what should we do. We had a team of journalists going to Congo. They made 360 coverage, interviews of 6 Congolese women. They were thinking of putting the 6 YouTube videos on one web page, and they said to us, like, it feels like we're downgrading the stories by making them available on one page. So we said, actually, we can do something quick, putting the 6 stories in a sphere in a kind of app experience, but it's completely browser-based. So what I'm going to show, and it's really key to keep that in the back of your mind, you will be like, okay, I've seen this before, this is VR, this is AR, but it's all completely browser-based experience that you can see on 3 devices. So I think there's really where the added value is as well, of course, on top of the stories that need to get, that deserve a bigger audience. So there's,
Bonjour, kombo nanga munga zali ya Modestine.
So this experience is an immersive journalism piece. It's interactive, so there are points of interactivity. The broadcaster has opted to make the use of 3D video and 2D video. Why? Because they assumed that by using a 2D video in a 3D environment, they would lower the threshold and make people more comfortable with media they already know. So it's really an R&D contract where we tested a couple of things. And yes, for them as well, it was the first WebVR experience. They were super happy just because of the fact it felt like an app. It felt like they really invested in building an app and making it available across platforms. It didn't feel at all as it was a browser-based experience. So I think that was super interesting as a learning curve for the both of us. To be very honest, if we would do another immersive journalism piece, I would not advise to use 2D video in a 3D sphere, but that was part of the test. The next one is a big project that we've done with Arte. Arte is the biggest European public broadcaster for the German and French-speaking countries. I met Stefan, who is responsible for innovation at Arte at ITVA in Amsterdam, where we were sitting at the same table and we were discussing the problems of distribution in the market. So I pitched him the idea, let's try to convert one of your existing experiences, game-based experience, to a completely browser-based experience. So he went back to his team to discuss a couple of titles. What should be the best title for this kind of R&D contract? He came back with Sans VR. And Sans VR is a very minimal experience that was launched at Tribeca in 2016, where you basically in a black and white environment, and you have to find the cues, find arrows to be able to point or gaze to the right direction. And then if you gaze to the right direction, you see there's immediate feedback and interactivity, so you can go to the next scene. So what we did, there were two options. Either we rebuilt the whole experience using A-Frame, so the WebVR standard, to be able to do this based upon the assets. Or we use Unity's export function, where you can export scenes as 360 videos. So we thought it would be more interesting and in line with our product roadmap to choose for the second one, where we basically used the different 360 videos and add points of interactivity to it. Looking back to this, we feel that maybe it wasn't the best call, because the export of Unity means that there is immediately, it involves a reduction in quality on the level of resolution and sound. But in the end, I do still think we managed to build a nice experience. It's available again via the browser completely, many points of interactivity, and it works on headsets as well. So really, if you go to a headset, type in your URL, you can also have the experience there. And I will show how that works in a second. The experience is available on their website. Of course, you can check it now with the QR code and then see how it works on your mobile. The next one that I want to quickly introduce is an experience that is not live yet, but it's actually with the German newspaper Welt, where we started a collaboration completely different. Into VR is a production studio from Berlin. They invested in doing recording of a lot of location on the island of Cuba, and we rebuilt the experience from the ground up, again, completely in WebVR. Where we're introducing a lot of points of interactivity in each scene, hotspots like the industry calls them, but we also introduced real-time tracking and a map of the island. So, because we felt if in each scene, each place that you visit in Cuba, you can choose to go to a next location in Cuba, at some point you feel a bit lost, but actually like, okay, what did I visit and what didn't I not visit? Although the hotspots get a new color, we still thought the map would be crucial as a way to give control back to the people visiting the island. So basically, this is a recording on a desktop. This is one of the good things about what we do is we can do recordings on either device, which is in many cases, for example, for an app, not possible that you can do it on a desktop. So it looks a bit clunky, but basically, you've seen the hotspots. And then if you look down, we include control buttons. And these control buttons then have access to the map. I think he will show it. So this is the map that you can make bigger or smaller. And if you visit a part of the island, then the pointers get a different color. So again, if you want to test it, please do. And this is actually how it works in the headset. To be very honest about the user journey in the headset, we still need to solve some issues because until this moment, the browsers request you to type in the URL. So you can, of course, go to the website called Arte and then click through with your pointers. But here you have to go to a URL, and then when you see the experience in 2D, you have to press the VR goggles icon. We can automate this. Basically, if you go to a URL and this is WebVR enabled, it can immediately go into 3D in the headset. We're not doing this because we feel like people will be a bit overwhelmed by the speed of that action. So basically, the web community is looking into speech recognition into these headsets because most of the headsets do allow to recognize speech. So we're looking into integrating this into the browser as well. But ideally, we're working on a way to basically have the experience on your phone and then via the same internet connection, have it pop up in the headset, which would be ideal for this kind of problem solving. The access to the content issue. We've also done a lot of proof of concepts and also commercial work in WebAR. A lot of things I cannot show. This actually is also a recording in our office. We couldn't show the official one, so it looks a bit clunky. But I think it shows what it does. So the main challenge for WebAR is again to make it available in as well Safari as Android browsers. So Android is quite okay on the level of development, but I think everyone who's experimented with WebAR in the room, you will know that for Safari it's less predictable what you will get from a consumer point of view. So the company is called NetApp, and they wanted us to build a very light experience for a Cisco event in Barcelona, where they wanted to create engagement with the brand by hiding markers across the conference area. So these are a couple of introduction screens where it's very clear that we're working with a Space Invader as opposed to a QR code. It is possible to start working with image recognition, and you don't have to specifically work with a marker, but because they wanted to be 100% sure, and also we had limited time frame to develop it, we opted to work it with Space Invaders because we had done a lot of proof of concepts with it. So again, the recording is in our office. You see the marker, the Space Invader, and then 3D is shown. what is important, or unlocked, what is important is that every time you find a marker, there's a puzzle piece that you get. And of course, this then enables you to keep on looking. If you find all the puzzle pieces, meaning all the Space Invaders, you'll receive a code, and then you could get a jacket. So for the 2 days event, more than 60,000 people went to the website and engaged with the game. So NetApp was super, super happy because they invested in AR applications before and never had the same visibility. And 800 people went effectively to the desk to get their jacket, which I think is quite a lot, given the fact that the jacket is not particularly so interesting. So yes, that's the AR experience. For who in the room is interested in our work with WebAR, I can show other things, but I cannot show them on stage. So the company focus is, of course, doing a lot of POCs and testing what the standard can do on the level of streaming. I guess the biggest challenge always is to how to render it in a way that all the browsers will be able to access it, given the fact that, of course, people are in different Wi-Fi connections. I'm just looking at the time. So the platform that we have launched in Venice is today completely focused on 360 video, interactive and non-interactive. So we launched it at the film festival. Again, why there? Because they were, I'm not sure who has attended Venice VR, but it's a beautiful place. There's a big community, and the highly curated works are shown for VR and AR. Again, they don't leave the festival. So we wanted to launch there because we thought it was important to show our technology to the people who are actually creating these stories. And at the festival, we were also able to close a partnership with the film festival. So after the film festival, for a month, 4 of their experiences were available via our technology. So I'm quite proud of the outcome of that festival. So this is our launching video. If you want to try, then there's a trial Typeform kind of application on the website where we just review a bit who's actually looking to test it. So I really invite you, if you have 360 content and it wasn't available except for a YouTube player, then really submit your profile, and would love to have your feedback on the technology that we're developing. So yes, this is a bit the objective of the platform. Like I said, today and for the past 2 years, mostly have been working in 360 video, interactive and non-interactive, real-time tracking. But we're definitely looking as much now into WebAR as possible. So that will be the vision of the platform for 2020, to include the first AR capabilities, starting from a marker, moving into image recognition, and then potentially moving away from these markers, hopefully when the WebXR standard allows us to do that as well in an open way. So there's a lot of ifs, though, for this, but I'm very optimistic about the group leading the standard. Like I said, one of the main takeaways was that we're going to focus on this as well the next couple of months. It's really talking to festivals and see if they have the rights of content, of the content that is featured at these festivals, that we can help them share it and get those messages out in the world. Like the winner in Venice was Daughters of Shibok. A very interesting, immersive documentary, and very proud that this is one of the first stories we could leverage via our technology. Again, people always are like, okay, WebVR, it's mobile and desktop. It's not the objective of this type of storytelling. You have to experience it in a headset. And this is also what we believe is key. The best experience, the most immersive experience, is still in the headset. But if you're realistic, then you know that people are not in a headset today. So what we're trying to do in everything that we're building is really making the user journey go from one device looking like this to a device where you look like this. But it's a huge step out of the comfort zone. For us, I think it's a little, and we love it, but people outside are really, really skeptical, and they prefer to wait and see. So what we try to do is really trigger them, get them enthusiastic in the hope the step to the headset will be smaller. So this is basically how you access the Venice content in the headset. Our preferred device is the Oculus Quest. The browser is really good, but of course there are other devices. If you have, for example, an Oculus Rift or an HTC Vive, it's even more simpler than this. You just go to the browser on your desktop. You, of course, connect your headset to the desktop computer. You go to the browser, you press the VR goggles icon on your desktop, and it's then streamed into the headset. So this is really when you go to a standalone device, where you always have the interface first in 2D. Like I said, we could immediately jump to 3D, but I think it's important to give control to this activity, and then you go from 2D to 3D. So the experience, even if you would compare it by an app that was built for Oculus Quest or the browser experience, I don't think people will notice the difference from a viewing perspective. So what's next? I'm just going to look again. So what's next for us is definitely WebAR. Lots of problems, so also lots of opportunities for us to dig deeper. WebAR allows you to basically have a digital layer on top of reality. For us, from a technical point of view, we have a platform, we have an editor. I will show that in a second. The editor, for the time being, you can add an asset, which is a 360 video. For WebAR, basically, it's the same editor, but you don't have to add that 360 video as a background, because the 360 video as a background will be replaced by the recording of your camera on your phone. So for us, the whole technology, the way we structure the platform, if there's a background video or no background video, it's approximately the same. Of course, we have to fine-tune a couple of things, and definitely related to image recognition. But on the technology level, there are a lot of parallels between both. So what we're looking into now with some European publishers is to make the bridge between print and online. This is an example by Google, so no credits to us, to be very clear, where they used a print ad to promote the latest season of Stranger Things. So this is done by Google, but it's based on an application. So we just look at these examples and see how can we internally make these examples happening via the browser. So we want to, this is our first step, is image recognition via the browser, and then showcase some animated 3D or even 2D in an AR viewer. But again, not only looking at mobile or tablets, but again, looking at the same experience in a headset. So AR headset, you have the HoloLens, which is equipped with the Edge browser. You have the Magic Leap, which is equipped with the Helio browser. Magic Leap is very mysterious about what they do with everything, and sometimes they give you a bit of a glimpse of what they're working on. So this is by Damien Franco, which is the spatial web expert working at Magic Leap. So he showed this, and I think it really tells a lot, because a lot of people will think, okay, this is a Magic Leap application. No, it's going to their website, to the browser, going to a certain page, and then this page just simply comes to life, and the whole room is surrounded by the visual elements of this web page. So this is the video that is available. So it's by simply going to this page that is discussing the humpback whale. The browser detects that it's an AR headset, and of course this whale then swims around. So it swims around in the room. You can walk towards it. it comes closer to you. So there's a lot of opportunities here on the level of storytelling, and I think this is already a good teaser to showcase what's possible within a browser environment. Again, not in an application, a browser. So I invited actually Mookie today to help and entertain a Q&A session. She's a really good friend and a very expert in the industry. I just want to conclude with a couple of insights. So basically, my main message would be that every website in the future can have 3D tied into it. It can be VR, it can be AR. We don't have to think in applications anymore. It can be a website that shows a 2D interface, but you can hide a lot of things behind the 2D interface. Just have to add a VR goggles icon if it's VR, or an AR button to your website, which enables you to actually bring whatever piece of content you have in 2D into a 3D world. So it's quite easy on a technical level. So a lot of brands can definitely step into it, and you can do VR, AR, or even combine both. So for us, web browsing has entered a complete new era, and you can create a significant wow effect just by using your own website. That's it. For everyone who is interested and wants to learn more, you can write me or you can sign up for the platform. But like I said, Mookie is now also opening the floor for some questions you might have. Thank you.